So welcome to Let's Grow Podcast, where we explore the highs and lows of entrepreneurship with some of the most successful and inspiring business leaders in our communities. We dive into their stories, their strategies, and their lessons learned, uncovering the secrets to their success and the obstacles they overcame along the way. Join us as we learn from the best and discover what it takes to grow a business and thrive as an entrepreneur. Today we sit down with Robert Ridlon with Get Her Done Remodeling. Sit back and get ready so we can grow together. What's going on, Mr. Robert? How are you today?
What's going on, Matt? How are you?
Doing good, man. How's everything? You staying warm?
No, but I'm wet and cold, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
Hey, that's, we can't control the weather, right? We just got to adapt and keep going.
That's
especially
right.
as business owners, right? We can't let the weather stop us, and especially in your industry. So Get Her Done Home Remodeling. So tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got started with remodeling.
Yeah. So, pretty easy. So, right out of high school, that was right when COVID happened. So, I got out of high school, thought I was going to go to college, get a PhD, end up as a professor, just like my dad and my grandpa and my great-grandpa, who I share a name with. So, I'm actually the fourth Robert.
Oh, okay.
So, there was no pressure to get a PhD. I'm the only Robert Ridlon that is not a professor and does not have a PhD.
So if you're the fourth generation of Robert Ridlon, what is that? Robert Ridlon the fourth?
The fourth. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just the fourth.
Just the fourth.
Okay.
Yeah. Nothing too fancy. But, so a lot of pressure there, but with COVID and everything that was happening at the same time, didn't really feel like settling down in a college, and so I had some previous construction experience. I've always enjoyed construction. It's like always been a pastime of mine. But I had a GC from church and he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I need a helper, and I'll give you $10 an hour as a 1099 worker contractor." I didn't know what a 1099 contractor was, but I heard $10 an hour, and I knew I was doing nothing with my life at that point. So I was like, "Let's do it. Let's get started."
So did you start that during high school or after high school?
Right after high school.
Because you still look like you go to high school. So, how old are you?
I'm 21 right
21 now. Okay.
Yeah.
But you got started, I think, when we met at the Wylie Chamber of Commerce. I think you were 19?
I was 19 years old. Yep.
Starting, okay.
Right out of, so I had a lot going on in my life the last few years, especially as starting a business, but even between high school and starting the business, I was working 60-hour work weeks with this guy who taught me everything I knew. So, we're talking framing, doors, plumbing, electrical, really gave me a good foundation for all things home remodeling. And so I worked with him for, probably 8 months or so, 10 months. And then my family ended up moving to Missouri for a job opportunity there, and I got a job with a foundation repair company, of all things.
Okay.
And worked with them for about 6 months and learned more of a corporate. They had 500 employees, so that was more of a corporate setting. I learned kind of about the ladder and everything. And then the last move we had was moving to Wylie, and worked for another remodeling company here as a supervisor, much smaller operation, but we had a values disagreement on a lot of things, so I didn't like the way they were running things. The things they were asking me to do kind of were going against my morals a little bit, and I'm in Texas. This is the land of opportunity now, so I decided I'd go ahead and start my own business doing that. And so we formed the company in September of 2021.
Okay.
And things didn't really start taking off, like momentum-wise, until I'd say February or March of 2022. But it was those months where we had no work and only $50 to my name that we did the most growing in.
You mean, for other entrepreneurs out there and stuff, you mean, if I just want to form a business, business doesn't magically appear and I'm going to be super busy and crush it and, make tons of money?
The hardest part is the first few months when you have nothing going on.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people all the time, right? People think starting a business is easy, and we all have different reasons of why we start a business, but they don't see the downside, the challenges, the obstacles, right? And like you said, it took you a while to get going, right? So before we get into the business side of things, how did your family pick Wylie? Like, out of all places, right? What made the move to say, you know what, Wylie is the spot where we're going to set up shop and move there?
Honestly, it was just a God thing. So we're very faith-based. We're very strong. And we believe in God and Jesus. And really, I mean, there was no jobs lined up for either me or my parents or anybody in our family. And we stick together as a unit. We just, wherever we go, we all go.
Yeah.
And man, just kind of, we knew it was Texas. We felt God pulling us towards Texas. And so we went down, we visited Dallas, we visited Houston, and just kind of lined up with the right people at the right time. And Wylie was, the realtor that we were talking to, she's like, you know what, I think y'all would really like Wylie. And so came here, prayed a lot about it, and just felt at peace. And so it was like, all right, well, I guess this is where we're going to be. So, so a few months later, in July of 2021, we moved here. Well, I moved here full time.
Yeah. So what made you want to start a business in construction, right? You're right out of high school, a couple years later, you're still in the construction business, right? But out of all things that you could have done, you could have pursued, why a business in remodeling?
Remodeling has just always been a passion for me. I do really enjoy remodeling. I mean, you're taking this space that people hate and you're turning it into something that they now love, right? And foundation repair was fun, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of cool aspects to the business. I mean, I was driving excavators and bobcats, and it was a real fun job. However, it's a need, right? And so you're trying to give them that experience in that, but at the end of the day, they're putting, $25,000 to something that's going into the ground and they'll never see, right? But for me, people pay me and I'm able to give them this space that's going to last. They're going to be able to host their families. They're going to, for kitchens, right? They're like, we are embarrassed of our kitchen, so we don't invite our family over.
Yeah.
And then we get done and they're like, we're not having Thanksgiving and Christmas, and our family, we just love hosting all of our family now. And so just more rewarding in that fact. And there's just such a huge need here too. Everybody I talk to is looking for a home improvement contractor, but you can get any chuck in a truck. However, they're not good. There's a lot of contractors here in Dallas, but not a lot of contractors with integrity.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what's been propelling our success forward in that sense, is being that contractor with integrity.
Yeah, and the crazy part is too, is because you're so young, right? I think getting now sets you up to have that business all in the future, because a lot of good contractors right now, they're aging themselves out, right? There's wear and tear on the body because they've been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years, and yes, they're really good, but at the end of the day, who's going to be there afterwards? And their kids don't want to take it over, right? There's not everybody in high school. Yes, they have trade programs and stuff, but you don't see a lot of people coming out of high school in a trade like remodeling, tile, right? Construction. No. They're going for computers and marketing and social media, kind of like the easy stuff, that keeps us in the AC all day, right? Versus the construction world, right? So I think because you picked that career field and because you're passionate, I really think you're going to be in business for a very long time because of that. Because there's people in your generation who aren't willing to do that kind of stuff, and so you got a leg up on people in the future, right? I mean, people are always going to want to do what you said, create a space for them, their families, or whatever that looks for, right? Yeah. Especially when I sell a house, I tell people the same thing. I'm like, look, don't look at the cosmetic stuff. This is all cosmetic. You can build equity. You can save every year and tackle one project at a time. You don't have to go in and say, I need to gut this entire house and do it. Cool. If you got the money, great, right? You're like, hey, let's do it, right?
You know what? You got the money, let's do it. Let's tear it all down.
But at the end of the day, it's like, just tackle the bathroom, then tackle the kitchen, then tackle the flooring, or whatever that looks like for people, right?
Yeah.
And make a house a home.
Definitely.
And you help with that because you're out there giving them these ideas and things like that, right? So tell me, what do you think is the biggest challenge for you in business?
Oh, easily age. Easily age. There's having to overcome me walking into people's homes, and it's usually middle-aged is who I struggle with because I'm more closer to their age, right? But I walk in and they're like, I don't tell them my age. So usually they guess I'm like 26, but even still, they're like, I know what I was doing when I was 26, and I don't trust giving him, X amount of dollars, thousands of dollars, right? And fair enough, right? Like based on their experience, that is. So it's definitely more of a challenge of having to convey even more value than the 50-year-old who says he'll do it for cheaper or the same price as me. And, you know, just having to be like, I know the people, right?
Yeah.
So there's just a lot more legwork that I have to do in that sense. But it's just part of the challenge, you know? And,
so what are ways that you overcome that challenge, right? Because like you said, like I said earlier, I joked around, you still look like you're in high school, right? But obviously you take care of your health and stuff.
Yeah.
So give me an example. So if you're coming into the older generation, right? Someone in their 40s, 50s, 60s to remodel their house, and that is their objective to you.
Yeah.
What are ways how do you overcome that objective? Like, what are you doing to say, hey, don't worry about my age. I got you. I can do this. How do you overcome that?
For sure. Well, physical appearance-wise, I grew a beard, so or the best I could at least.
Gotcha.
So that helped a lot. I don't know if you remember me, but I keep looking back at my 19-year-old face, and it was all baby face and smooth, and you wouldn't have thought I did any hard work in my life. So tried to change that pretty quick. But as for practical ways, it's setting myself up in such a way that I educate more than anybody else in the industry.
Good.
And that was our focus towards the end of last year, and that's going to continue being my primary focus going into this year. So we have several articles out on our website that talk about the cost of how much it's going to remodel your shower. It talks about the whole process. It talks about the different type of waterproofing methods for your shower. It talks about what other factors to consider when remodeling your bathroom or your kitchen. Like there are several articles, and I have several more on the way out that talks in depth, and they're articles that I wrote, right? And it's not AI generated. It's me sitting there behind the desk typing everything out, and it's pretty obvious that it's me. There's spelling errors, and that's okay.
Making you human, right?
So what we do though is when we first get a call, we schedule a call, I go into a 20-minute conversation with these people. I talk about why they want to do it, what they're wanting to do. I try to really dig into even their past experiences with contractors. Like I try to listen to them. And so, for instance, we just sold a job yesterday actually, and the lady was telling me, she's like, I just need somebody to communicate with me every single day about this job. Now, no other contractor asked her what she wanted from what she was expecting, right? They didn't ask her about her other experiences with other contractors. And so she trusted me because she's like, he now knows that I want
the
communication.
Expectations are this.
Yes, and I told her, I said, I appreciate you telling me that, because some people don't want me to bother them every single day. And then some people like you want me to send a list of everything that was done. And it's like, if you tell me this, then I'm able to do that. So I listened to him a lot, and then I also following our, so after talking on the phone, talking all this stuff through, I then asked them, I say, hey, we have several articles that'll talk about kind of what you have going on. Is it okay if I send those to you? And then usually we'll book out our scheduling for the estimate a few days to a week later. And then so in the meantime, they now have several days to look over all of that, all those informational resources, right?
Yeah.
And by the time I get there, they're like, they don't know what I look like. They don't think I'm that young. And so by the time I get there, they've convinced themselves that I am the expert in this field.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, obviously he knows what he's doing.
And that's all you have to do is convey yourself as the expert in the field, in the
Definitely.
industry, whatever business you're in, right? No matter what age you are or what experience you are, as long as you're able to educate the people, the clients, the customers, and convey yourself as the expert, they're going to hire you.
For sure.
And things like that. So.
And being big in the community, that's been a huge thing. I mean, I keep telling people too, we've finished our second year in business, so we're now in our third year. Got to be doing something right, I guess.
Yeah.
If we're on our third year in business.
Don't last that long.
That's right. Yeah, especially. So I've been bringing that up with people a lot. We've won several awards in that sense. Being active in the community here in Wylie, it's like, they're like, I see your truck everywhere, and I'm like, yeah, because we're working.
Yeah.
So
we're not just sitting on the couch waiting for a phone. Right?
We're not just renewing the Google listing. We are doing jobs, and so kind of just the big thing is just telling clients your value. I think that's the big thing. And before I used to try to be humble, right? It's like, oh, I'm not gonna like put myself out there that much. They don't want that. They'll see my humility and be okay with that. No, you got to tell them what you want them to know. That's the only way you're going to get the sale, is by basically giving them that comfort that you are the only logical person to go with.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what do you do to keep yourself up to date with maybe the newest tool or the newest product or things that help you when you're remodeling kitchens and bathrooms and flooring? How do you educate yourself to be at the top of the industry?
Yeah. So we attend several conferences. I attend several conferences every year. So I actually just, there was a conference in Dallas just last week that I went to. And so I'm surrounding myself with 500 plus other contractors who are, I mean, some of them have $10 million businesses, right? Things that, I mean, I don't even know if I want to get that big. Yeah, we'll see. But so I'm surrounding myself with all these people who have so much more knowledge. We go, then they have their suppliers there, so we talk with them, and then we have good partnerships with our suppliers as well, so they keep us up to date on the new methods and the new tools and things like that. But a lot of our team is, well, all of our team is comprised of subcontractors as well. And so the nice part about that is we can niche them down to their specialty trade, right? So my tile guy, he's able to keep up with being updated on anything tile, right?
Yeah.
My drywall guy, he's able to stay up on top of anything drywall related. So that way I don't have to, so then they report to me and I'm able to sell it that way instead of me having to just kind of figure it all out. But just surrounding myself with people that are much smarter than me so we stay on top of it.
Yeah, so good question. So how do you vet the subcontractors that you sometimes use, right? Because sometimes you're doing all the work and then sometimes you have to sub it out. So how are you vetting these subcontractors to ensure that they get the get her done, expectations and stuff?
Definitely, yeah. Well, so we have our mission statement, vision statement, and our core values, right? And we go over all of those things with our subcontractors, and we make them agree to them, right? And there's a list of expectations that come with those core values, right? So like our 3 main core values is respect others, serve others, and invest in others. And then underneath those, we have several bullet points that say what we expect out of our subcontractors, and how we expect them to perform those values, because they're just an extension of me at that point, right? So we make them sign that and go over that. The big thing too is we make sure they're insured, right? So that's a big thing. We make sure that anybody's going into your home is going to be insured in case the worst happens. You'll be taken care of. But also just reputation, so sometimes I'll ask for references, if I don't, most of the time I'll pull them off of other subcontractors or friends, right? They're like, oh yeah, I know this guy, he's been doing great work, and so people vouch for them, for their character. So only people I trust their character and their judgment on am I going to trust to bring onto the team in that sense. So really just making sure they can first adhere to our standards, which I think are very important. And then also just making sure that they have a good reputation with the people in the community. So I don't want to just hire somebody that nobody knows. I want the people that, are in the community as well. I don't want them just to slide under the table.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, so with them carrying their own insurance, do you carry more insurance on top of that just in case as well?
Yes, so we have a $2 million liability policy with the business. Okay. So, cool. I mean, we could blow up a whole neighborhood and insurance will take care of it.
Yeah. Let's not get there though, okay? We're not here to blow up your neighborhood.
No, we're not going to blow it up, but that was that was
well, you never know, because in construction, I mean, people, whether they don't tell you something has been done, or maybe they went and hired, a handyman to do it real quick and didn't do it the right way, and you get there and then something happens, right? Weather, you never know.
Exactly. So. And that's another thing too, and I'll throw that out. So we have a very hefty, I think we carry double of what Texas requires for liability coverage. Yeah. So we make sure we're very secure on that. But if people request it, we've had several clients, they just say, can we have a copy of your insurance? I will print you out one and give it to you. It has my agent's phone number and name, so you can call them, make sure it's active, because that's a big thing.
That's a good thing, right? People can make fraud and make fake documents nowadays and all kinds of stuff.
So well, and sometimes they'll get legitimate documents, but they'll only pay for 2 months, right? Mm-hmm. And then so it says it's valid through a year. However, they cancel it 2 months in. So that's been a big thing I've seen. So I'm always like, if you want it, here you go. It's got my agent's name and number.
Contractors do that, right? They don't tell the client, say, hey, we are covered. Your house is going to be protected no matter what happens.
Yep.
Here's my agent's info. Call them. Make sure it's still active and vetted, right? And so if you're out there looking to remodel your house, that's something that y'all should be doing. Whoever you're hiring is make sure their insurance is active
Yes.
and ready to go in case of emergencies and stuff.
Definitely, yeah. And making sure they have a good reputation. Like, that's the other thing. I'm like, call up my agent. Like, most people hate their agents and their agents hate their insureds. It's just what it is.
That's just part of the industry.
Yeah. But me and my guy, we go get lunch all the time. So we have a good relationship. So I'm like, call them up, call anybody up in the community.
Yeah. So your favorite thing to do in the remodeling, what is it?
Bathrooms and showers.
Bathrooms and showers. Why is that?
They're just fun to do. They're just so fun to do.
Yeah.
They're a pretty quick turnaround, right? So when we're in people's houses, people are going to get grumpy. It's just what it is. So usually the shorter we can stay in your house, the better. It'll be better for you. So, because we see it, we get in there, everybody's excited, the walls are being torn out. And by the time we get to the halfway point, they're like, are you done yet? Can you please get out of my house?
Yeah, I want to take a shower in my own shower, right?
But so they move pretty quick, and it's just, there's a high level of satisfaction at the end, both on our part where we get to look at it and be like, damn, that's an awesome looking shower. But then there's also the other part, which is, the client comes in, it's like, this is an amazing new bathroom, right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
they just come in, they have the new vanities, new countertops, they have this beautiful new walk-in shower that they can go into with so much more room, with a better shower head, and it's completely transformational. And so I get messages all the time that are like, we absolutely love this.
Yeah,
and so
good.
that's what makes it so fulfilling,
Yeah.
I think.
So do you also help with the design part, or do you kind of leave that up to them to find a designer or go like pick the options that they want? How do you all handle that?
Good question, yeah. So we are more of a design build remodeling company. So if you call us up, I will help you design, right? So I'll go to Floor and Decor with you. I'll help you pick out tiles. I'll give you my input on different colors. Like, I will help with all of that. Some people know exactly what they want though. Some people call and they're like, I want this tile and I want you to remove this wall and I want the shower to be these exact dimensions. And it's like, okay, no problem. We can do that. But then there are other people that are like, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know what type of tile I want. All I know is I just need you to help me figure that out. And so then, we'll help in the design phase a lot with that. So, but we do help. It just kind of depends on the client though, on what they want. And then there are some clients who, honestly, like, they need a lot more assistance than what I can offer. We did a quote a while ago where it's like, they wanted to bust out all these walls and they couldn't decide between like stormy blue or ocean blue. And it's like, okay, maybe you should get a professional designer who'll be able to go into that a little more with you. And we have a lot of referrals for interior designers that we give out for those situations.
Yeah,
so.
awesome. All right. So what do you like to do for fun? What if you're not working on somebody's house or shower, what are you doing for fun?
What am I doing for fun? I love road tripping. It's my favorite thing. I love visiting new places, whether that's a new city or going and hiking in the mountains somewhere, or going and driving on the beach. I love to road trip places.
That's cool. Okay. Are you reading any new books, anything like that? Any new podcasts you're listening to for business or?
Yeah. So the podcast I'm listening to a lot right now, it's called The Contractor Fight.
Okay.
And so it's basically a podcast specifically for contractors on how to, relate value more to the client, right? How to operate your business more efficiently. And so they actually host a conference in Denver once a year in September. And so we've gone the last 2 years, and that's been a really good conference to go to. And as for books, I'm trying to reread Profit First, actually, by
Mike something. I can't pronounce his name.
Michalowicz.
Yes,
so
that's a great
He
book.
and the Contractor Fight actually did a conference together in, I think, Miami last year. So.
Okay.
But I read that book January of last year, and my whole business changed. The whole structure of the business changed, and we doubled our net profit last year simply because of that book.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to reread them, because when you reread stuff or re-listen to stuff, you have new perspectives, new things that you didn't hear before or read before. Mm-hmm. And so it's always great to go back to those good books that made a huge impact in your business and see what are the things you're missing that you can re-implement, right? Because
Definitely.
you can't implement everything at the same time. You got to go in stages in business, right? You implement this quarter, or maybe next quarter or next year, and then keep growing to that way. Right?
Definitely, yeah.
So what are maybe one or two things that you can tell somebody who is maybe wanting to get into the remodel business or start remodeling? What are some things that you can leave them to help them?
Yeah. So it's kind of, I don't want to say they contradict each other, but sometimes it can. Sometimes it's a gray area. But the first thing is lead your business with integrity, all the way. Like, if you messed up, just own it and fix it. I don't care, even if, it's a $2,000 job and you made a mistake that's going to cost $5,000, own it and fix it. That's going to go a lot farther than just trying to blow it off or ignore it. Right?
Or make an excuse that it wasn't your fault or this. And
Exactly.
Then it's just like,
yeah, and being open.
Yeah.
So and with that too, with being, with running your business with integrity is being open. Most of your clients are going to be, things are going to go wrong on a remodeling project. You're dealing with, remodeling is interesting in the fact that you're having to fix other people's work as you go, right? And sometimes you see some weird stuff. And so, but talking to your clients through that and keeping them informed throughout the process, that's going to make them trust you even more. So do that. And then the second part of that, though, is standing your ground on a lot of different things. There are going to be people that try to take advantage of you. There are going to be people that try to, take you for your money. There are going to be people that try to shame you or, put this guilt on you that's not even there, right? And you're going to have people that are going to try to get you to just compromise, right? So you have to also, with being full of integrity is also knowing when you are in the right and standing your ground through that, essentially. And I definitely during the first year, no one told me that, right? Everyone's like, oh, run your business with integrity. And I'm like, okay, I got that. But then when it came time to people taking advantage of me, I thought I was being blamed for things that I didn't even do, right? But it messed with my head, and so what I learned is know when you're right, know when you're wrong, and own it both ways.
Yeah, so. Good stuff. Awesome, man. Hey, so if anybody in North Texas is looking for a remodel, how can they get a hold of you?
So the best way is if you go to our website, it's GITERDONEDFW.com, getterdonedfw.com. And then you go to really any of our pages, but specifically the contact us form. There's a form there that you can fill out, and you just put your name, number, email, address, some photos, and what you're wanting done. Once you hit submit there, it'll take you to a Calendly link where you can set up a 30-minute phone call with me at any of the times I'm available. So that's the best way. And then if you don't want to deal with the website, then you can just call me directly. The number is 945-201-0516.
Cool. Awesome, man. Hey, it's been a pleasure to have you today, man. Great stuff. Keep doing amazing things. Keep growing. And if I can do anything else for you, let me know, man.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.